Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a new episode of Oliver the Time Traveler. Together with Isabella and Edward, Oliver has arrived somewhere in California in the year 1871, and without even knowing exactly where they've landed, they are already in a shop buying appropriate clothing to avoid standing out too much. The shopkeeper in the clothing store is left speechless because he doesn't know what he's seeing when he looks at Oliver. But let's not wait any longer and quickly pick up where we left off last time, so go ahead and take a seat. The tailor is still looking at Oliver and says for the second time, "I've never seen this before." Oliver, Isabella, and Edward look at the man, who examines Oliver from head to toe and then extends his arm, pointing to the pants Oliver is wearing. "I've never seen this before," he says for the third time. The tailor continues and asks Oliver, "If I may inquire, where did you get those pants?" Oliver looks startled, chuckles a bit, and replies, "I bought these at a store in my village." The tailor looks at Oliver and says, "It's the finest denim fabric I've ever seen, but you know what I find so special? On the back of your pants, our factory name is written, and we haven't made the jeans you're wearing." "Never." The tailor goes on to say, "I can recognize pants from our factory from a mile away. But I've never seen this fabric before. It's beautiful denim. By the way, what's the name of the town where you bought these pants, if you don't mind me asking?" Oliver says, "The village is called Hollowbrook, but it's very far from here." Meanwhile, Oliver looks at Ed and Isabella with a questioning look, as if to say, "Please rescue me from this situation." Isabella looks at the man and says, "Indeed, the jeans you make are wonderful. We're especially happy with them because they are so durable. The style that Oliver is wearing is very familiar, but I agree with you that it's a beautiful fabric. Do you make denim fabrics for the jeans yourselves?" The tailor looks at Isabella and says, "We're currently establishing quite a factory because our jeans are in high demand. They are indeed incredibly strong, and thanks to the rivets we use, they are very popular as well, as they are easily recognizable." The man continues, "Here in San Francisco, the jeans are made, and the demand for them is enormous. I design them myself and help with storing the denim fabrics that are brought in, and together with employees, I run this clothing store. It's a great time, and we are incredibly busy. But again, that pair of pants you're wearing, Mr. Oliver, I haven't seen them before. But let's not dwell on it for too long. How can I assist you?" Edward looks from Oliver to the tailor and says, "Oliver is still looking for a shirt and a hat, and this lady here also needs a jacket." Isabella adds, "And, actually, I'd like one of those cool hats. I'd like one like the ones hanging over there." Isabella walks over to a rack where there are cowboy hats and places one on her head that she likes. Isabella says, "It fits perfectly. I'd like to have this one." And she looks at Oliver and Edward and asks, "And, does it look good on me?" Oliver chuckles, and Edward says, "Absolutely, that hat looks very cool on you, and it will definitely be useful for protecting you from the intense sun here." The tailor looks at Oliver and says, "The shirts are hanging over there on the rack, and my assistant will be bringing some new checkered shirts shortly. Perhaps you might like those as well. If you'd like to wait for her, that's perfectly fine, of course." Oliver walks over to the rack of shirts in the corner of the store and gives Ed a quick look, as if he wants him to keep the shopkeeper engaged. Thankfully, Ed understands the hint and asks the tailor, "How did you come up with the idea of using metal rivets in jeans to make them stronger?" The tailor responds, "We searched very hard for secure and sturdy fastenings to reinforce the jeans. Other pants would tear due to the wear and tear of hard work, and no thread was strong enough, and by using those rivets, the jeans suddenly became indestructible, and they also look fantastic." The tailor continues, "The denim fabric itself is the pride of our factory because we import that fabric from France to San Francisco, and it's working very well. The French deliver their goods on time, allowing the factory to run perfectly. We are even in the process of opening stores in other cities. It's wonderful to see how our jeans are appreciated by many people. But I still find it extremely remarkable to see your jeans because I've never seen that style or fabric color before. He looks again at the light blue jeans that Oliver is wearing with rivet stamped with the factory name. Fortunately, attention is diverted as the shop door opens, and a petite woman enters, holding 4 shirts, each with a different color and pattern. The woman says, "Good afternoon." As she says that, she holds up the 4 shirts to show them to the tailor and asks him, "And what do you think?" The tailor says to the woman, "They look very good indeed, what a success. Checkered shirts in various colors. They will certainly go well with the jeans we have. Alice, I'm delighted with them. Thank you for making them so beautifully. Perhaps you'd like to show those shirts to the gentleman over there in the corner. He's looking for a shirt, and maybe he'll find one that he likes. And in the meantime, also take a look at the jeans Mr. Oliver is wearing. They have our factory name on them, but definitely don't come from our factory. I've never seen that style before." The petite woman named Alice walks over to the corner where Oliver is looking at the shirts on the rack. Alice stands still and gazes at Oliver's jeans and at his left wrist, where a piece of his watch peeks out from under his sleeve. She turns to the tailor and says to him, "I'll take care of the customers here, sir." And she says to Oliver, "It is indeed a beautiful pair of pants you're wearing, sir." Oliver replies to Alice, "You can just call me Oliver. I feel so old when you call me, sir." They both laugh, and Alice says, "Here, I have 4 new shirts. They come in 4 different colors with different patterns, but if I may be so bold, I think this yellow shirt will go best with your outfit. However, it's a bit dark in the shop, and if you'd like, we can step outside so you can see the shirts in daylight." While Alice talks to Oliver, she blinks a few times with her left eye. Oliver understands the hint and says, "That's a good idea because I also like that green shirt, but with daylight, I can see them better." Oliver looks at Isabella and Edward and asks, "Will you both wait for me here? I'll be back shortly." Together with Alice, Oliver steps through the shop door and back onto the street, with Alice following him with the 2 shirts. Once on the street in front of the shop, Alice looks at Oliver and says, "If I were you, I'd be more careful with what you have on your wrist." Oliver looks surprised at Alice and realizes that she is the next watcher they've been looking for. He says, "Hi, I'm Oliver, and I'm probably looking for you." Alice looks around to ensure no one can overhear them and says, "That watch on your wrist brought me here. I never figured out how it worked so I could return to my own time. I didn't have the time because I was in a stagecoach when it was robbed by bandits. They took all our jewelry. It's a long story, and we can't discuss it here. Do you have a place to stay in town?" Oliver shakes his head. "We haven't found a hotel to stay in yet, we've just arrived, so to speak. The other man was here yesterday. He had traveled ahead, even though he left after us." And Oliver continues, laughing, "That's also a long story." He goes on and asks, "Alice, I'm glad to have met you, but what do you suggest? What's the smartest thing to do now?" Alice laughs and says, "The best thing is just to buy that yellow shirt because it suits you best. It's a good idea to get a hotel room for a night here in San Francisco, and I'll come visit you tonight. But don't worry about me, I'm perfectly fine here, but I'll explain more later. I was transported here, so to speak, from the year 1973 by the watch I found. Here in San Francisco, I was quickly taken in by friendly people who put me in touch with the gentleman I work for now. I've always worked in the fashion industry, so I have plenty of ideas to build a fantastic life here. This is my 2nd year in San Francisco, and I wouldn't leave for the world. But come on, let's go back into the shop, and I suggest you head to the large hotel on the corner of the street. I'll have my assistant reserve a few rooms for you. Come on, let's go back into the store." Alice opens the door again and says with a laugh to the tailor, Well, the first shirt in the new style has already been sold. Isabella joins in and says, "Ah, it's the yellow shirt, that's a good choice. It goes perfectly with your pants." Before Isabella can finish her sentence, she startles herself because everyone's attention is once again drawn to the jeans Oliver is wearing. The tailor, who has been observing it all, looks a bit sour and says, "Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it right now, but I'm convinced that you have a copy of the jeans we make here with care and pride. We're currently in the process of applying for a patent so that no one can reproduce our products. But regardless of whether it's a copy of our name, the style of jeans you're wearing is not from our drawing board. I must admit that I find it a nice pair of jeans. Alice, would you please quickly sketch the style of his jeans before our customers leave?" Alice laughs and says, "I'll do it right away if Mr. Oliver permits, but I also want to send an assistant to the hotel on the corner because our customers want to spend the night there." The tailor nods and says, "That's perfectly fine. I see that you have everything under control. It's all good. Then I'll take my time to sit behind the drawing board with a cup of coffee, as suddenly I have all sorts of new ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a pleasant stay here in San Francisco. Perhaps we'll run into each other on the street. I bid you a friendly farewell." With a slight bow, the tailor exits through a door with his head full of new ideas for designing jeans. Dear listeners, here we leave Oliver together with Isabella, Edward, and Alice in the clothing store in San Francisco in the year 1871. Their mission has been successful so far by finding Alice, the second to last watcher. At this moment, our heroes have come through this episode without too many mishaps, and please like and subscribe so you won't miss any of the adventures of Oliver the Time Traveler. Thank you for listening, and until next time.